Hey everybody, and welcome to Make with Mod Podge. I'm Steve Piacenza, and today we are jumping on board on the blue china trend. Cathie is going to show you 4 different projects using 4 different Mod Podge formulas.
Hey guys, welcome back, and thank you, Steve. I'm so excited to share with you this fun video today. Like Steve said, we're going to use 4 different formulas for these projects. We're going to use Dimensional Magic, we're going to use Fabric Mod Podge, Satin Mod Podge, and Matte Mod Podge. We're going to make a couple of different things, 4 different things actually. I'm going to show you how you can create these fun centerpieces, these mini centerpieces using old tin cans and napkins. We're going to be making over some miniature birdhouses. These are really fun for adding to a wreath, or even if you have one of these little dollar store candle holders, you can make mini ones. These are fun for on a mantle, or if you're compiling a centerpiece or something like that. I've got another really cool technique to show you, which is doing some faux Baroque china plates. And I did it here on this little round kind of ring box. This is just a little wood box. And to create that glass finish, I'm using the Dimensional Magic. And a couple of weeks ago, we did a video where we showed you how to transfer napkins to fabric. And I'm gonna repeat that technique today on one of these cool little storage bags. And these are great just for wrangling. I've got my headphones there, but you can wrangle all sorts of things in there. Makeup, whatever, school supplies, whatever you want. So let's just dive right in. I'm gonna start with our Dimensional Magic project. And that is this cool little trinket box that you see here. And to create that faux china look, I'm using Dimensional Magic, and that's a kind of a faux resin, and it's going to create that raised glass-like finish. So let's go ahead, and I want to show you, I've got a sample board going here. You can use any kind of paper. I found a bunch of different papers at the craft store that were blue and white floral prints. So you can really, throughout all of these projects, I kind of mixed and matched these different fabrics together, and also this napkin. So you can see how they all work really cool together to create that theme. So for this, one of the techniques that I want to show you really quickly is just how you cut your paper. So basically, you want to start and cut a piece that would be the size of your project, okay? So like for something like this, I started with a big circle. For over here, you can start with a big rectangle. And the trick is that you want to cut your paper into very odd shapes, because that's what it looks like when you have a real piece of broken china. So you don't want perfect shapes, you don't want perfect triangles, you want random cuts like that. And you can see here, I've gone ahead and Mod Podged down some of those random pieces. And I've got one piece here. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down with our Mod Podge mat. And let me grab a brush. I like to, when I'm doing this project, I like to start on the edge or the corners and work my way around and then fill in the center. So on a circle project, I put all the pieces on the outside edge first, and then I fill in. And like this piece here, I cut that to fit there. So you can really, once you get your outer edge, then you can cut these to size, really customize it. So to get the paper down, it's just as simple as we're gonna add our matte Mod Podge. And I like using matte for this project because we are going to be putting that Dimensional Magic over it. I feel like the gloss is sometimes a little bit too much. Okay, and just press it into position. And then at this point, you go ahead and give that a top coat with more of the matte Mod Podge. And that's important because you really want to seal that paper down before you put your Dimensional Magic on it. Go ahead and seal that down. Now this piece here has, I Mod Podged down, and it has a top coat on it, and it's been drying for about 5 hours. So let's go ahead, I've got my Mod Podge Dimensional Magic here. I like to give it just a quick little gentle roll. And then let's start over here. Let me move my scissors out of the way. You want to begin by first priming up your bottle by squeezing a tiny bit out. That will help you with air bubbles. And start right there on that corner and go around the edge. And it really doesn't really go off of the edge. Just kind of work around it, getting as close to that edge. It will smooth out a tiny bit, but it usually doesn't go over the paper. If it does go over, you can just quickly wipe it while it's wet. And then once you've gone around the outer edge, I'm giving the bottle just a tiny bit more squeeze, and you can go ahead and fill in. Now, I don't see any air bubbles there. You guys might be able to see the air bubbles, but I don't see any air bubbles. If you did have an air bubble, you would just simply go in with a toothpick or a sewing pin and pop it while it's wet. So there you go. That is how you can create that really cool faux china look. And you can see that really looks like broken up old dishes. And again, the trick to this is just finding some blue and white flower fabrics, or papers. You could do this any colorway. I saw tons of different floral prints out there that looked a lot like different cool vintage china plates. So play around with it, use the colors that you really like. But today's theme is all about the blue and white. So let's move on to the next thing I want to show you about, and that's this really cute little centerpiece that you can make. And this is just a tin can that we have gone ahead and cleaned out. So let me grab my soup can here. You can use any kind of can that you want. Just depending upon the size of arrangement that you want to do. Now, I have a friend who did something similar to this for an outdoor wedding. And so we were just collecting and collecting cans, and literally almost all of the centerpieces that were done for the tables were done with tin cans. So really, I really encourage you to think creatively about your recyclables and what, excuse me, and what you can make with them. So for this tin can, I primed it first using the Folk Art Home Decor chalk, and that just creates a really nice background for receiving the napkin. And that's important because if I didn't paint this, when I put my napkin on there, wherever the napkin is white, it would end up being gray looking. So you really need to paint whatever your surface is that you're doing this on first with a light colored paint, like a white or an ivory. So now for this project, we're gonna use Satin Mod Podge. So Satin Mod Podge is in between matte and gloss, and it's one of my favorite formulas for home decor. And for this project, I start right here. You can see that's where the label was glued down. So I start there. I know that that's gonna be the back of my little vase container. So let's add our Mod Podge to that. This is the satin formula. It's really nice for home decor, not too shiny, not too matte, just a nice little sheen. It's wipeable, which is one of the things that I like. Go ahead and add all that Mod Podge around it and really get it into the grooves. You really want to get that into the grooves. Now, some people with the tin cans, if you have a pattern that has a lot of words or something like that on your napkin, you might, this might not be the right project for it because some of that might get distorted in those grooves of the can. So look for a pattern like this that's an all over pattern. If this is your first time doing it, you'll have a little bit more success. Then I just spin my can and I'm looking for that spot where I started. Where is it? There we go. And we're gonna lay our napkin right on to the can and smooth that down. And then we will gently pull and smooth down, and lift up and gently pull. You've got a little bit of time to work on it. Go and smooth down as you go. You can see those ridges coming through. It gives it a lot of texture. I just absolutely love it. We did these for Sophia's class when she was in TK. We had a tea party for the whole school, and we made centerpieces with dollar store vases and tin cans, crayon holders, all sorts of stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and cut a little bit of our extra off. And now we're at the end there, and so you can see we'll just go in with a little bit more of the satin formula. Again, the satin is in between matte and gloss, so it's gonna dry with a nice pretty sheen, but not super shiny. So we'll seal that edge. Now we're ready to just go ahead and add a little bit of that to the bottom. And we'll just flap those over just like so. Just use your brush to get those edges down. And I like to kind of just go around real quickly and just make sure you have a smooth edge there. Then, just gonna gently touch it from the sides. Go ahead and add a little bit. I hope you guys can see that. Add a little bit of the Mod Podge around that inner rim, just like so. And we'll go ahead and tuck our napkin right inside of there and just quickly brush that down to seal that down. Work all the way around. Now at this point, I usually set this aside and I'm gonna let it dry for about 15 minutes before I continue to work with it. And once it's dry for like 15 minutes, you can just go ahead and give it a top coat. Before I show you some top coating, I just want to show you that I've got a piece of floral foam in here. If you were doing fresh flowers, you could add water to this floral foam. This is that style. You could use a piece of tin foil if you're using a silk like me here, and then you just pop your arrangement down in there. But I want to show you quickly about top coating. It's really as easy as this. You just go right onto that top surface after it has dried about 15 or 20 minutes. And you will just work your top coat going in one direction all the way around. And then set it aside and let it dry. And now you have created the cutest, easiest little tiny tin can centerpiece. How fun are those? If you're doing kids parties, grab some of those themed napkins. You can do superhero ones, whatever you want. It's really endless because it's just working with whatever napkin you love. Now, let's talk about birdhouses really quick. Excuse me. I've got one over here where I've done an all over pattern, and I've got one over here where all I've done is just the roof. So it's really up to you. For these, I'm using a little bit of treasure gold on them. So you can see I've rimmed out the little birdhouses using the treasure gold. I just love the gold with the blue and white, but that's just a personal preference. So let me see, I've got one here that I started. So over here, I've got dark blue flower on the side. Then I've got cutouts here with the white showing through. So you can really mix and match all of your papers together. I added a little bit of that gold trim there to the top. Now my birdhouse had a hole there with a rope going through it, but I don't want to be hanging these. So I just want to show you, if you encounter that you can just Mod Podge right over it. So I've got another piece of blue paper. So I've got 3 different blue papers going on one birdhouse, and I just love that mix and match look. So for this, let's go ahead and use our matte Mod Podge again. Go ahead and coat that paper. I went ahead and pre-cut that to size. And you can mix and match all these different designs and papers. And now you're just gonna go ahead and place that right onto the birdhouse roof. And voila, that hole is completely gone now. And you don't have to worry about that. Let's go ahead and just push that down with our fingers. And normally I would let this dry about 15 minutes before top coating. You really want to push out any air bubbles. I'm not feeling any, so that's pretty good. And you can see how you get this adorable mix and match house. And again, if that's not your style and you really want something simple, you can go ahead and just do the roof. It's really however you want to do it. You can add these to your mantle. You can add them to wreaths like we did over here. Stick them on top of a candlestick or whatever you want to do. If you want to keep that hanger on there, that's cute too. You can hang them all in a tree as a decorative. You could use outdoor Mod Podge on it. All different kinds of projects that you can do. Now the very last thing that I want to show you is this really cool technique using the napkin again. And for that, we're going to be creating these cool bags, these little storage bags. So this bag started out, let me move some of this stuff. Let me clear up my space a bit. This bag started out as just a plain zipper bag like this. Got one of my napkins in there. So just a plain zipper bag. These are very inexpensive. You can do this on tote bags. If you caught the video a few weeks ago, you can do the same technique on t-shirts, you know, on and on. It's really design-wise endless. It's up to you. The main thing is you want to start with something again that's lighter in color so that the colors of your napkin will pop through. And I should have noted on the tin can, I only use the top printed layer of the napkin. So here again, I've got just the printed layer. I removed the other layers of the napkin and I went ahead and cut that to size on my, just with scissors, but cut it to size to fit onto that bag. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and I like to place my napkin right above the project. I am gonna be spraying it with a little bit of water, so I like to have that ready to go once my formula is completely down. So we're gonna use the fabric Mod Podge. This bag will be washable once this is all cured. And the trick to this is a much thicker formula. So if you're used to regular Mod Podge, you can see it does not work like this. So we're gonna go ahead and get that Mod Podge really into all of, and you don't need to worry if you have a little wrinkle like that. As soon as this Mod Podge all gets on there, all of that will go away. If you're worried about it, you could hit it with an iron if you wanted to, but you really need to work each edge, edge to edge, and I'm pressing down and I'm getting all of the fabric formula. So this is not the regular Mod Podge. This is specifically designed to work with fabric. Go ahead and rub that in. You can see, you can probably hear, I'm really pushing down, trying to get that into those fibers. This is a fun, quick way to make some personalized bags. These are really cool bridesmaids gifts, you know, Mother's Day gift. You could do a whole little matching set for a bathroom if you want to do makeup bags and turn some tin cans into makeup brush holders. You can really get creative with these different formulas. Okay, I think we are good. I'd like to go around, do one last check on the edges. Get that down. Okay, we are good and ready to go. I've got just a water bottle here. I'm gonna gently mist my napkin, just like so. And then you'll be ready to just, this is why I like to have it just right above my project. You can just slide it right on to your bag. Let's get that out of there. You got a little bit of time to play with it. Let's get that lined up. You can kind of just gently pick it up and move it into position. And once you have it where you want it, it looks pretty good, you'll start at the center and gently, very, very gently, start to smooth out those wrinkles. And I'm barely applying any pressure, guys. I'm just lightly, lightly touching. So if you missed a spot, you can always go in and add a little bit more of the fabric Mod Podge. You just want to do that while it's wet and while you're working it. You look pretty good here. Okay, we've got a little bit extra here where I didn't have it quite cut to size. So I'll go ahead and let that dry, and once that dry, I'll just trim that off. I'll go ahead and work from the center out and barely any pressure. There we go. I think we are looking good. And once it's dry, you will end up with a bag like this. These are my new headphones that Santa Claus brought me. But you can see this is a great little zipper bag. It is almost feels like leather or like the printed vinyl, but all it is one ply of a napkin and a little bit of fabric Mod Podge. I did not top coat this project. It is not necessary to top coat this. I made one of these about 6 months ago and it is still going strong with no problems whatsoever. So I don't really recommend top coating for this project. You don't need it, so why waste the product on it, right? Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Let's review quickly. We made our cute little zipper bags with fabric Mod Podge and napkins. We created this fun faux broken china look using dimensional magic. So simple, such a cool way to jazz up a little inexpensive wood box. We've got our fun birdhouse makeovers. And of course, one of my favorite things is making over our tin cans. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to use the hashtags PlaidCrafts and Mod Podge so that everybody at Plaid can see what you're doing, and maybe you can get featured on Fan Friday. We will see you next week with another fun video, and be sure to check out our weekend watch parties. Thanks.